This is the all-new Skoda Kylaq, and when I say all-new, it is actually all-new because this has been developed from ground up to be Skoda India's first ever compact SUV. Now, of course, it sits below the Kylaq when it comes to the SUV lineup, and I know you guys are wondering why this car is wearing this camouflage. Well, this is a pre-production prototype. The Kylaq is far from ready. In fact, you will be able to see this car in all its glory on November 6th because that's when Skoda India is doing this car's global unveil. For now, we are here at a racetrack in Coimbatore to drive the new Kylaq, and because of the camouflage and the fact that the interior of this car is also under wraps, there is only a limited amount of information that I can give you guys. So things like how the Kylaq is to drive on a racetrack, how it rides, how the steering feels, how the suspension copes up, well, that sort of things I can give you right now. For now, let's take a look at what the Kylaq looks like, even though we have a camouflage to deal with. Before we get to the actual driving experience of how the Kylaq is to drive at a racetrack, well, let me quickly give you a quick walk around of what the Kylaq has to offer when it comes to dimensions and the way it looks. Now, I know this car is still covered in camouflage, and I'll try my best to give you my impression of what I think of this car. Starting from the front, well, the biggest highlight of the Kylaq is the fact that it has been designed using Skoda's all-new design language. Well, there is some resemblance to the Kylaq with the way this grille looks, but apart from that, the detailing on this car is entirely new, and it is as per Skoda's new global design language. So things like the split LED headlights, the shape of the bumper, how the bonnet has been treated when it comes to the cuts and creases, well, it's all entirely new. Now, if you look closely, you will see that this car gets Skoda crystal lighting. Well, that's Skoda's speak for LED lighting. Now, as you move along the side, you will see that the Kylaq runs on 17-inch wheels using 205 section tires, which are quite chunky if you ask me. And of course, the alloy wheel design is also new for this car. You also get full type door handles, giving it a premium feel, and the overall dimensions, well, the Kylaq measures at 3995 millimeters. Of course, it's a sub 4 meter compact SUV, and accordingly it has been designed that way. Now, like the Kylaq, you can see minimal overhangs at the rear and at the front. Well, this is to maximize wheelbase and space efficiency when it comes to the overall packaging. At the back, well, the first thing that got my attention are these new tail lights. This is something that is new as per Skoda's new design language, and this design element in their future models. For now, the Kylaq gets it, and it is quite different from the one that you see on the Kylaq. Also new is this very sculpted tailgate design. It's got multiple layers, which gives it a modern touch. Now, in terms of pure numbers, the Kylaq measures 3995 millimeters in length. It's got 189 millimeters of ground clearance, and the wheelbase is also pretty much on par with the competition. And you can see all of these figures on your screens right now. So that's all there is that I can tell you when it comes to the Kylaq's design and what I think of it. Well, this car is pretty much covered entirely, and there is only so much that I can tell you guys. But what do you guys think of the Kylaq and its new design language? Let us know in the comments, and we will take it forward from there. Now, in terms of engine and gearbox options, the Kylaq gets a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine that you can have either with a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed torque converter automatic gearbox option. We got to drive both these options today here at the track, and what I can tell you for sure is that even though the Kylaq is a family car, of course, it will be used as a daily driver for majority of its users. Well, the Kylaq proved to be surprisingly fun, especially on the short go-kart track that you see behind me. The 1-liter engine is pretty much the same engine that you get in the Kylaq and the Slavia. It makes around 115 brake horsepower and 178 Newton meters of torque. Well, it is a modern engine. It's refined, it is quiet. Even when you thrash it on a racetrack, it didn't feel like it was running out of breath, and it didn't sound particularly unpleasant either. It felt smooth, it felt refined. And in terms of power delivery too, now even though it's a turbo engine, it's got a good amount of low down torque. You don't have to wait for the turbo to spool up. You can keep this car in a higher gear and still make quick progress just because of how strong the bottom end of this engine is. Now for the short go-kart track experience that we had, wherein I got to drive it for 3 laps, we had the 6-speed torque converter automatic. Now the biggest praise that I can give this torque converter automatic is that it didn't take away anything from the driving experience. It almost managed to find the right gear at the right time, even on some of the short corners, some of the tight and technical sections of the track, wherein I didn't really need to switch to manual mode. I kept it in sport mode, and it pretty much took care of the gear changes for me. So it was quite predictable and user-friendly in that sense. Now for the long track, we had the manual gearbox with us, and of course it's the same manual that we have seen in the Kylaq and the Slavia. It's a sweet gearbox. The clutch pedal is light. It's got a very short travel, so that's good. As for the ride and handling, well, the Kylaq is a compact SUV at the end of the day. It's a family car after all, and here out on the racetrack, it's not exactly in its element. The clearance that it has and the way the suspension has been set up, but it didn't feel unnerving or nervous at any point. Now talking about ride quality, well, of course, we are on a racetrack and it's got the smoothest of tarmac that is available. So it's not a very good indication of what the ride quality will be like out in the real world. But I did get a short ride as a passenger around this racetrack, where the roads are more like the ones that you'll see on the road. And on these roads, the Kylaq felt surprisingly plush. The suspension setup, even though it is slightly on the stiffer side, as it usually is for Skoda and VW models, but it didn't matter because the way this car dealt with the ruts and the unevenness of the roads that we were driving on, well, it didn't feel stiff at all, and there is a layer of plushness to the way the Kylaq rides, and that's a surprise for me. So that's it from us from what has been a rather short experience with the Kylaq on this racetrack. Well, it has been exciting for sure, and I can't wait to drive this car on the road. Well, coming to the reality, Skoda India will unveil this car on November 6th to the world, and the launch will take place sometime next year. Now, in terms of competition, the core competition for the Kylaq includes the likes of Hyundai Venue, Kia Sonet, Mahindra XUV 3XO, and the Maruti Suzuki Brezza. Well, as for the pricing, we have seen Skoda price their vehicles at a slight premium over the competition, and we have seen that with the Kylaq and the Slavia. But with the Kylaq, Skoda is going super aggressive with the pricing and the positioning of this SUV. Now, what we have heard from them over the last couple of days is that Skoda is expected to price this car on par with the competition. So you can tell how important the Kylaq is going to be for Skoda as a brand. So that's it from me when it comes to the Kylaq and my experience with it. Let us know what you guys think in the comments, especially about its positioning and what sort of pricing you guys are looking at when it comes to this all-new compact SUV from Skoda India.